everybody? Welcome to Bros Uncut and the inaugural podcast. We're from six brothers from Detroit. To my right, we got Damon Thomas. What up,
Yo,
Doe?
what up, Doe?
What's
Damon
the deal?
checking in from the ATL right quick.
All right, we got Willie Soso, who's in the D.
Yeah, what's happening? From ATL to New York to the D, this is what we do. 313 repping 94 pros, baby. We all in the building, you know what I mean?
We got Link, who's out in New York. What up, Link?
What up, y'all?
We got Karanji. What's up, Karanji? Karanji's in the D, representing hard.
What up, though?
What's up? What up, though? So right here, what we want you to do from this show, what we want you to gain is we want to leave you with a different way to think. We want to leave you with maybe you'll get something, you'll learn something from this show, or you'll just get a different perspective. All right. So we want to leave you with a different perspective from one of the brothers. What we got here, we got six brothers with different, diverse, strong personalities. So we're gonna give it to you. So what we're going to do is we'll start the show off right now with some top news. In the news recently, we've had a lot of white people calling the cops on black people for various things. We had most recently a white person called the cops asking if the black person had showered before they got in the pool. We had another guy who called because he felt like the lady didn't belong at the pool, so he asked her for her address and for ID. So what you guys think of that, Damon? What you think?
It's bullshit. You know, typical. Just white people wanting to put black people under a certain light, as if we're criminals or we're dirty or. You know, this type of stuff has been happening since the beginning of time or whatever. It's just how they view us and look at us in general. So, I mean, it's just, just a wake-up call to let you know that in 2018, same old bullshit still going on, still happening. Just another day in white supremacist America.
Unfortunately, that's the truth. Unfortunately, that is definitely the truth, man. But it's still appalling. It's still... I'm not desensitized to it though. When I see this, like the video of and if the white girls are the Beckys, then this video presented us with the white dude who's we not calling them Adams. The Beckys and the Adams of the world are just out of their mind, dog. This lady,
fucking mind.
Yeah, this lady, she was in this condo complex, had a gate key. They have, a pool area, had a gate key for the pool area. And it's not like it was some official person that was asking her for ID. It was just another resident. Now, to put it in context and perspective, that's like me going next door to my neighbor for whatever reason and asking them for their ID while they're out cutting grass, or their kid is riding a bike down the street, so I can see if they belong in the neighborhood or not. That's just absolutely ridiculous, and it truly has no place in this country.
So it kind of leads us, like Damon said, this has been going on for a long time, for forever. But it's pretty much like you don't belong here. And if you here, then I need to see your papers. I need to see, why are you here? Do you belong? What you think, Link?
I look at it like this. We used to see police stopping people, and we saw videos start to make its way online, police stopping people and then pulling out guns and then oftentimes shooting them, maybe killing them, The videos just got progressively worse and worse. It went from not having video footage to having video footage to the guy was questionable what he was doing till there was no question till the person was not. We knew he wasn't armed till he was running away, and I think that all this is now just a precursor to what we used to see. We used to see by the time the police come, there was altercation and the cops pulling out guns and whatever. All we're seeing now is we're seeing how that gets started, and it gets started with another white person calling off times, unless it's a traffic stop. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of it is predicated on some white person calling the police and either feeling threatened or don't want to see the black person either doing what they're doing or even in that particular neighborhood or area. So I just think we just move them back a little further on the cause with these calls now.
Well, let me ask this, because I would say a lot of times, to your point, a lot of times the precursor to the police showing up, it wasn't even white folks calling. It was just the police was there, and they was always there, and they come around specifically to pull folks over and harass and brutalize. Now, this I'm not saying it's uncharted territory. It's just being filmed, but this is a little bit. This is an update. This is sort of like a 2.0. This is calling on folks for nothing, and now the police are showing up to do what we know oftentimes they will do. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, what you think, Karanji?
Oh shit. I fucked up now. Well, one thing I've been just sitting back and realizing is white people just being white people. Just like Charlamagne is saying, crack ass crackers. They just being crack ass crackers. That's just how I think it's actually insane for us to think to behave any other way. That's just how they always been. I mean, like, they have a mentality of privilege. Think about, I saw an article today of 4 young brothers being with little boys. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all got 11-year-olds or.
I saw that too.
Yeah, getting drawn down on by a cop. That would never happen to no white boys. Ever. For no little kids. The fact that our babies got to go through that is unacceptable. But it's also part of white America. And as soon as we understand that this country ain't never give a fuck about us, then we'll be like, we won't be surprised. The shit don't surprise me no more. Does it hurt me? Does it offend me? Yes. But it makes me even more motivated to be like, we got to make sure we focus on our own shit and focus on defending our people, period. Unapologetically.
Right. So what's the answer? You say defending our people. Like, how does that look to you?
Well, there has always been strategies to defend ourselves in the past and even now, but we have, I think in many ways, we've been kind of neutered, especially the black man, kind of neutered. Like, we don't really do shit. Like,
that's the purpose of the show. So let's get to it. So let's start walking that down.
Right. So I think, let's say, for example, all 6 of us brothers, or like 6 times 10, 6 brothers came whenever they saw these events, and they like, look, man, you know what I'm saying? This is unacceptable. And they started holding these people accountable and really following up. Like, I mean, you can go everywhere from brothers that just, like another story about brothers who going to jail and being held on bond for years. Like the brother Khalif Browder. I mean, that's just that's present day genocide. And ain't nobody giving a fuck about that shit because it ain't. And so, like, that's just, like, it's just small pieces of the same world.
So how do we deal with it? You're right, though, Karanji. How do we deal with it, though? It is unacceptable. So where do we go?
So here's what I would suggest. So if we want to walk back to the 60s and the early 70s with the Black Panther Party, what they did first was they knew the laws. In this social media day and age, people just roll with whatever's on their news feed, whether is correct or whether is incorrect, instead of actually doing a research to find out, are these the laws that are applicable to my state and my city? So I think first is to understanding the laws.
And in that vein right there, not to cut you off, but in that vein right there, shout out to Colin Kaepernick, because that's a part of the initiative that he's put forth. And, you know, he hasn't been, you know, in the news or newsworthy as much as some other things as of late, but it should be noted that that's a part of his initiative.
Right. You know what? That kind of that's kind of a good segue into a good hot topic when we talk about sports. The NFL rule regarding not protesting the anthem, and also I don't know if you guys heard very recently, the Players Association has filed a grievance against the NFL owners for not consulting them on it, and for it being a violation of their rights. Let's start with Karanji, man. What do you think about that?
I have a lot of different ways I can state this. I do agree with the players, definitely. But what other culture do you know that's going to beg for somebody else to value their product? Like, our athletic ability is a product that makes billions of dollars a year. Trillions, maybe. We begging a motherfucker to say, treat me right, or I'm going to give you, I'm trying to do it in a court of law. They could easily just be like, okay, we ain't playing this. We ain't playing these first couple games. You don't got to go through a lawsuit and all that shit. Just don't fucking play. I promise you, motherfuckers will come to the table. They give you half the fucking NFL if you really know what the fuck you're doing. They be like, okay. Because they losing billions of dollars. So what we need to do is to provide an educated population of athletes who aren't afraid to take those steps. There's not enough Colin Kaepernicks. Imagine if you had a team of Colin Kaepernicks. It's like we're not doing nothing. And so that's what it comes down to. The whole court thing, once again, you are asking their system to pass a law, or to not pass a law, but to make
send down a ruling.
Right, send out a ruling in your benefit. And not go do that shit. All the motherfuckers is buddies. Judges, they all fucking hang out with the rich motherfuckers. They is not like, I mean, you may get a little sliver of, but what have they always done? What's the consistent thing? They throwing us fucking crumbs, and thank you, master. I take this crumb right here. So tastes good. No, I'm tired of the crumbs. This shit is fucking over, man. People got to start, black men to start manning up on every level, whether they athletes on the block, whether they corporate, niggas just start manning up, period, and stop. We just take it happy with crime. I'm tired of this shit, man.
So Link and I have had this conversation a few times about whether people are actually ready to engage, to stand up, to fight. And Link, you remember what I said when we had this conversation?
I don't know. I can't remember. What did we say?
No, we were talking about being ready for standing up and you know, active protest, and I said we're not ready. So you're not gonna have what you calling for, Karanji, is for people who get their bread and butter for running that ball, tackling. You know what I'm saying? Making that field goal. You asking them, they got millions of dollars on the line. You asking them to jeopardize those millions of dollars to stand up for what's right. And in this day and age, it's really a day and age of the almighty dollar. So when it comes to jeopardizing my millions versus standing up and protesting for something that may not have anything to do with me, you know, you're going to get what you got now.
I'll say this. My personal point of view on it is I agree. I agree with Karanji in this respect. I think the NFL players need to put some skin in the revolution. They need to have some skin in that game. Colin Kaepernick did it. He put the money where the mouth was at. I think more players do need to do so. I definitely agree that players need to say, no, we're not just going to sit in the locker room. We're not playing. But to your point, Nate, the bigger reason that I think that they wouldn't is because after hypothetically speaking, let's say they did that. Let's say we got every single black player to say, nope, we're not playing because of our personal grievances about this entire situation, from the national anthem to the real reason that Cap knelt and all of that. Then what? After that, then what? If we're going to sit and say, hey, we it's unacceptable and we're going to do something about it, there needs to be a legitimate plan. And unfortunately, since the 60s, there has not been a legitimate plan overall. And that's why we can't get on one accord to move forward to dismantle the systemic racism and institutional racism that has permeated this country since day one. We know we've identified the problem ad nauseum. We've come up with things that we could and should do. But when it comes time to do them, we don't. And we don't have any contingency plans, any continuum plans whatsoever.
What you think, D?
Really, I think we're putting too much stock in the players or whatever. It's like, if we're gonna have any type of change whatsoever, it's gonna have to be, come from the bottom up and everything. That's why I'm really not a fan of just counting on celebrities or athletes or entertainers or whatever to do the real heavy lifting. That has to come from the people. So that's where I stand with it pretty much. Like someone else said, they're not going to jeopardize their millions or whatever like that. And it's really not their job to, per se. Or if we do want to say it's their job, then it's basically everybody's job. So it's like, if you got the regular, person who working in corporate America is not willing to put any skin in the game, then why should they? If the players aren't going to play, then, people still shouldn't be watching the NFL. People still shouldn't be going to the game. Everybody that work in those stadiums, from the concession stands to security, everyone needs to walk out then. If that's
fair, D.
That's
fair.
How.
Let me interject.
If we're really talking about some change or whatever, that's the only way it's going to happen. If not, if you just look into these millionaires or whatever, it's just not going to happen. Simple, plain, and point blank.
I agree with you to a certain extent, D, but I disagree with you on another side, because the reality is, black people are followers. Like, we follow what is trendy, what is cool, especially today. Like, popular today more than ever. People look.
I gotta disagree with you there, Karanji.
Let me finish. People look to stars for leadership to a certain extent.
Nah, that's not how it worked, though. Not to cut you off, Karanji, but Nate was probably about to say the same thing that I'm about. No, when you see a celebrity advocating for something, it's because the groundwork has been laid by some person that you never heard of.
Absolutely.
And for instance, a very good example of that is, say, the Me Too movement. The black woman who started that, I bet you there isn't one single person on this panel that could come up with her name. However, when whatever ingenues on whatever award show start throwing out the hashtag Me Too sign, then it was a thing. But it had always been a thing. It had been a thing like 10 years before.
And that's a great segue, because we're gonna talk.
That's all I want to finish. Like, I agree with. I was saying I partially agree with what Damon was saying, but I also understand that star power is real. So yes, it does definitely start from the ground level. But what I'm saying is that star power gives it an energy that can make it fly all the way to the top. You know what I'm saying? Like, I promise you, somebody like Jay-Z or somebody who is influential be like, I'm not watching the NFL this year. I suggest nobody don't watch no more. But whatever, we're about to start a team. I promise you. You know, like for example, Ice Cube was in town this week. If he was to say we're about to start a new football league, the interest level would be high. You know what I'm saying? So that the people
he has the basketball league now.
He's doing very well. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a performer. They have a performer. They're playing this weekend here in Detroit. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that is one. I'm saying the pieces together have power. You definitely got to start from the ground level, from the grassroots. But the grassroots together with the star power is a very powerful engine that I think we need to, and it always has been. Back in the day when they had Jim Brown and Kareem and Muhammad Ali, you can't discount their star power was very influential for the movement at that time.
All right, so that's a great segue. We're gonna keep the show moving along. I love the energy, fellas. This is real good. But we're gonna stick with sports, and we're gonna talk about the soccer players that got caught in the cave. What you guys think of that?
I don't really care.
Okay.
Damn.
Okay. So
Damn, really?
Karaji doesn't care about children trapped in a mine.
Oh.
Okay. Nate, can I do this right now?
Yeah.
So that we can get this, since we're on the topic of sports, and I think we have two things that can intersect here right now. In this our inaugural posting of Bros Uncut.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So one, let me vehemently disagree with Karanji. I do care about children potentially dying. That's one.
I do care about kids.
Two, it also gives us a chance to introduce our listeners to something that the Bros Uncut like to call the I don't give a fuck files. And per Karanji, this will be a nominee.
Yes.
Now, if you don't really get the concept, it is as stated. There are things that occur in pop culture and in current events that will be talked about ad nauseum. And honestly, from our perspective, ladies and gentlemen, we simply don't give a fuck about them. And for Karanji, this is one of his nominees. Duly noted, brother. But let's get into it. Link, D, give me y'all perspective about what happened in Thailand.
I'll go last. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just from my standpoint, like, I'm not sure exactly what happened. I know the kids got caught. Hey, shit happens.
I know what happened.
And not saying that I don't give a fuck, but my look at it is basically the shit went on in our news, in mainstream news, for like as long as it was going on. So we're looking at like 2 weeks of news coverage about these kids trapped in a cave or whatever. And I felt like, I don't know, maybe Trump wasn't tweeting anything for the past couple of weeks, but it's like that shit really just took over the news. And I get it, you know, it ended in a good way, so it was a good feel-good story for the news to have and everything like that. But I know for a fact that they not showing what's happening in Detroit over in Thailand.
That's fair.
They're not showing what's happening in Flint, you know, or anything like that. So, I mean, this is worldwide news that we're talking about or whatever. And I just feel like a lot of attention was given to that particular story. So I think it might be something more to it than that, than other than it just being a feel-good story or whatever. So my take on it is like, you know, I give a fuck about the kids, but I don't give a fuck about how the mainstream news media covered the whole thing.
I feel that. Link, you got something to say?
Yeah, I do. I think that to talk about the news cycle and what makes news and all that, I feel like that's another topic. Like maybe we should write that down and explore that, because that's a good. I feel like that's a good point, but I feel like that's a different point. Like that's very different about. Like, is it like if we talking about the children and what happened to them and how stupid that was, or what type of, because I think the last time we talked about this, we all agreed off camera that this was pretty ridiculous. Like I think that I think the coach. I don't know how they ended up where they ended up.
Needless to say, he should be fired.
Something.
Hey,
look, hold on. He won't be mad. He won't matter if he get fired. He won't be mad if he get fired if his ass can get up out that cave alive. He'll be happy to get fired. You know what I'm saying? But some kind of way, this 24-year-old man led a group of children who are not adults into a cave, and then they couldn't get out. And then apparently monsoon season, a typhoon season, a hurricane, something is barreling down on. They got to kind of get out. And then we lost the life of one of the military people trying to dive and get him.
Damn.
And everybody's not out yet, to my knowledge.
No, everybody is out.
This is terrible.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Just on the.
Everybody's out now.
Oh, everybody's out.
Everybody's out now.
Okay, yeah. So this was terrible.
Everybody made it safely.
What happened? So I for my 2 cents on it is, I don't understand how y'all got down there. I'm glad that all y'all got out, but that was pretty ridiculous. But let us not do that again in no country. Like, what the hell? Why? You can't explain to me why you went in the cave.
Hey, I understand that they are preparing. They are talking about preparing the cave for a tourist attraction.
You have got to be kidding me.
Hey,
you have got to be kidding me.
Wow.
You know what?
Hey, hold on. Can I change my answer about I don't get
right.
Put it in the
It is on that point that we just got some new momentum behind the I don't give a fuck foul nominee.
Come on.
Well, hold on. But wait, before we let the eyes have it, let's go to what may potentially be the consensus I don't give a fuck foul nominee.
Wait, no, I didn't say I don't give a fuck. You better ain't believe me.
Go ahead.
Don't skip over.
Yo, Karanji loves the kids. Go ahead.
Look, I've been teaching for over 15 years. I love kids. Feel bad for them little kids.
Hey,
little bad. Hey, them little motherfuckers, man, they have my heart, man.
Right.
I feel bad for the kids got stuck in there. Bonafide bullshit, fucking tail eye vision, fucking coverage, tail lie vision. Get the fuck out of here, man.
So what was the lie then? If that's your point, where was the lie?
The lie was that it was truly relevant for global television. It was not relevant. People get lost every motherfucking day on motherfucking Finkel and motherfucking Southfield Freeway. Like,
wow.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
wow. Hold on. Do people really get lost on Finkel every day? I don't think so.
Kids
I don't know about that.
No, maybe not. I'm just saying, little girls, little boys come up missing every day in Detroit. You know that's a fact. Okay, we got a big issue with sex trafficking and all that type of shit in this city.
That's been covered though, and it is continually covered as well.
Not globally. Hell, fucking no. You don't have a whole week about the sex trafficking in Detroit. No shit like that.
Well, you know what? That's another topic for a different day.
Truth.
But we're gonna move on to LeBron James going to LA, which I think that's what you was alluding to.
Absolutely. For me, that is the consensus I don't give a fuck foul nominee.
I agree with that one too.
Listen,
that's not a I don't give a fuck to me. Like, I'm very heavy NBA, very heavy analyst. I even go so far as to debunk the mainstream analysts with the YouTube analysts. Like, I gets down in, and I will agree and say that that it ran too long. But see, if I understand politics, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got shows that they need ratings on, and LeBron is, say it's a whole lot of politics. Let me just say this for right quick. There's a lot of money behind LeBron. LeBron holds up the league. Just talking about him. And just, he holds the league up. So all of his sponsors there's been alleged either he's paying some of the key figures that are columnists, or they put money behind them through the sponsors, but they keep his name going because they're trying to build a certain narrative where it's him versus Jordan, and they're trying to make it so that he's overtaking Jordan, whatever like that. But the point I'm making is this: that's why he's staying in the news so long. You got certain guys on certain shows that's just in his hip pocket, or they in the hip pocket of the people.
Brian Windhorst. Brian Windhorst. Shut up. That's all I want to say. Continue.
Well, I could run a bunch of names. I mean, you got Colin Cowherd, he's in the pocket. Shannon Sharp, he's in the pocket, and of course the king, Nick Wright. And these guys will lie, bend narratives, and I think that they're on the payroll. But the point I'm making is this: LeBron going to LA matters. It's very important to me, very important to the league. However, for it to go on for a week, that's terrible. But it's going on for a week because they're going to be talking about LeBron and the NBA on some way, shape, form, or fashion until the season start back up, because these shows are so wildly popular. The Shannon Sharp show and all these other shows.
Hold on. I just want to pause your commentary real quick, Link, to introduce the newest, another member of the 94 Bro Collective, to Bros Uncut, TJ from the ATL. What's happening, my baby?
What up, dog?
What up? What up? What up?
What up? What up?
What up? Man. Yeah. We just to catch you up, TJ. We were just sitting here talking about the LeBron factor in the NBA and how that is this week's one of this week's I Don't Give a Fuck Files nominees. And Link was giving us a very intuitive and very astute view of why is the coverage on him has been the way it's been. But Link, I get what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. That's still my nominee for the I Don't Give a Fuck file. Just saying. Anybody else?
I just want to say I'm wearing a New York Giants shirt, and TJ is wearing a Detroit shirt. So maybe Karanji will feel better about that, because I got talked about, but I've been living in New York for 10, 11 years, and right.
And how about TJ is in Atlanta with a Detroit shirt on? Hey, Karanji, go find you an ATL shirt, bro.
I don't own ATL paraphernalia.
Thank you,
my man.
I've been here like 20 something years, dude.
Thank you. Detroit for life.
Every hot in my closet got a D on it. Please.
Detroit for life, son.
This is a life.
My man.
Hey guys, so let's talk about our next topic.
He said it's a lifestyle. No, we ain't talking about no new topics. Y'all trying to make me look like I'm a trader. I ain't no goddamn trader. You try to buy a Detroit shirt in New York City, man. Good luck.
You gotta go to the
Goodwill. But no, yo, TJ did come in at the right time, man. He did, because we alluded to it earlier when we were talking about the Me Too movement. So these are some of the things that we want to get to. Nate, you got it, brother.
Yeah. So we before we get to the main topic today, we just want to touch a little bit on music. So right now, within the past month, we've had a series of albums that dropped. Kanye West, Pusha T, Nas. We had the Jay-Z and Beyonce album. We had a few albums that dropped, and it seems to be a trend to have 7 tracks on a full album. I think the Jay-Z and Beyonce one was 10 tracks. So what do you guys think about that? Is that the new wave? Is that gonna ride out, or is that just something that's just for right now?
Well, I'm gonna say this. Everybody on our team is very music oriented. Like Nate is a big music lover, and he probably the least of all the music people on this team. You know what I'm saying? Because Karate do music, Hank do music, Dame been shoot music for years. I've done music. I'm gonna get back into doing music, and TJ danced to music. I mean, this is a musical crew up here. But I don't think that the albums are becoming 7 tracks long now. It's just that a lot of them were Kanye West uh, inspired or produced or whatever, or executive produced, and thus you got the 7 tracks on a lot of them. You know, somebody had a double track. Drake joined as a double CD, right?
Drake joint was double. Yeah, that was a double album.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been, but that's a whole nother story.
Now, see, I heard that was fire though.
It was approximately about 24 tracks too long.
Damn.
How many tracks was it? 25?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. 5 tracks of these 24. Wow.
Yes.
I mean, I could say that about any double album, though. Even from
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Absolutely not. No, sir. What are you talking about? Don't do that. Don't do that.
Hold on, wait.
Let's stay on topic.
Just to be clear,
Just to
be clear, I'm just saying that I thought that the Drake album was whack. But with regards to the trend of short albums, Link might be on to something in this regard, that they were, Kanye West produced and or inspired. But even in that, Black Thought came out with a 5-song project in the same time frame, and it was fire.
Well, he might just have been releasing an EP though.
It wasn't classified as an EP. It was classified as a full project.
Well, you know they do a lot. You know they do a lot, y'all fam. They released an album with 7 songs. Kanye, he released 7 songs, but he released another song 2 weeks later, another song. So the music game has changed so much. I really think it's a kind of a good thing because people, the reality,
I agree.
People's attention spans is way shorter.
That's what I was gonna say.
People don't really like unless you just like us. Even our attention spans is more shorter than it used to be.
Let me say this, and I'm gonna let you go, Karanja, because everybody cutting you off. I feel sorry about how often you get cut off, but I'm just gonna say this real quick. I don't know. I keep hearing people attention spans are shorter than everybody. I don't know if it's any shorter than it ever was. It's just things are coming out in a different manner and in different ways. Whereas you used to have to take a whole package, now you can take pieces. But we've been watching 30-minute TV shows with commercials in between and this and that for I don't know how long. I don't think that people's attention span is any shorter. I listen to a whole album if the album is hot. If I like what's happening, the stuff might not be quality like it used to be.
That's a whole nother issue.
I think it is shorter. The reason why I say it's shorter is because, yes, we used to watch the show, but we was so patient back in the day. We was like making sure we ran home to watch Transformers to get that damn last episode. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's so many shows now. Like, just think about it. It's so many more channels.
I mean, I still do that for what I do that for, though. I'm here, and when Power come on, most of the times I'm available.
I'm the same way with Game of Thrones. So yes, there is a level of that exists.
But there have been studies that have shown that attention spans are shorter now.
Yeah, it's so many more distractions now. Distractions is like think about it. But back in you go back 15 years, you know what I'm saying? You may have had, they ain't had no cell phone that's as powerful now. You can watch your cell phone, one thing, watching your tablet, another show, and watch a TV. And you know what I'm saying? It's like so much shit.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? There's so much shit going on. So in order to really be a successful album, you got to actually to hit them hard and hit them fast and keep, you know what I'm saying? And then the good thing about it is these mugs is releasing albums every 8 months. It ain't back in the day. Think about it. Yeah, if you listen to like a Snoop Dogg or Guru, whatever, they're releasing albums every 2-3 years. That shit wasn't coming out every year like this. So you know what I'm saying? Like Drake drop an album every year. Big Sean drop 1-2 albums every year. That shit is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that trend has been going on for a while. In his prime, if we can say, when he was really, really dropping music like that, Jay-Z literally dropped an album every 8 months. That was his model.
2-year break. I was 2-year break. He took some a couple times.
12 months. 12 months. I'll say 12 months.
Yeah.
I mean, if you average it out, I'm sure it wasn't like 8 months on the dot, but my point is that was a thing.
You got to look at it like this, though.
That was for everybody, though.
It's actually brilliant to shorten an album because it takes so much to actually go platinum, right? You got to have so many streams, you got to have so many, so many sales and all of that, right? So if you do that and you got 20 tracks, if you cut that up, you're going to make more money because you're dividing the product up.
Right,
that is part of it as well.
You got 3 albums in one. Just drop another album. You know what I'm saying? You got all these songs.
And then it also allows you to respond to your quota of how many stuff you got to put out for the label.
Yeah, I didn't think about that part.
It does help. It does help contractually. True.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, and the place like all them artists is under label. Pusha T, Kid Cudi, they all under contract. So they just I drop my album, so I'll be independent in a minute.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that we're okay with the projects being shorter? I know I didn't have a problem with it. I just realized that it may very well be a trend for all of the various reasons that y'all mentioned.
Yeah, I'm fine with the albums being shorter. I don't need to be listening to a whole bunch of one person or whatever. I'm you know what? Besides like the Kendricks and the Coles and even a Big Sean, I'm not really too excited about a lot of cats that are out right now anyway. Yeah. So
then there's that
seven tracks or whatever, I'm good with that.
Yeah, because you think about it, when Cole drop an album, it may be 13, but that's gonna be fire like mostly all the way through. I mean saying like, people may have different opinions on that, but just like Damon said, it's not really a lot of artists that's coming out with your albums. I don't want to have to skip it through like, okay, next song, okay, next, So I mean, even whether it's hip hop or R&B, definitely the R&B shit is dead. I feel so bad. That's another topic. R&B is so motherfucking dead. This shit is tragic.
Just the stuff that's on the radio. That's all. You got to dig for it.
Yeah,
and that's the most tragic part about it for me, though, TJ, because never more so in the history of music lovers do you have to dig in the crates more than you have to now.
Because, like you said, it's so much content out here. So it's easy for good stuff to get lost in the shovel and for bullshit to surface.
Yeah. I think the bullshit is purposely being put out, and is that a matter of the taste though? Have times and tastes changed that much?
We in the Matrix, so
tastes have absolutely changed. Times have changed. I personally, I like a 12. I like a full album. Don't give me no 7. I mean, if you give me 7, I'll listen to it or I'll look at it, but don't let that be no thing. If you call yourself giving me an album, then I want 12 tracks or more. And we talked about this last time, the thing with me as far as me spending my money, because you're not charging no less for that 7.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I'm paying for 7, shit, I want 12. If I can pay for 12 and get the same amount, if I'm buying an album.
At this point, I'm not even. At this point, I'm not even talking about necessarily the amount or the length of the album as much as I am the quality and the content of it.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
I don't. Man, there are. I can literally count
it's hard
on one
to talk
hand.
about quality in today's market and climate. There hardly is any quality music at all, and those artists that are quality artists can drop a record now out the blue, like Beyonce and Black Thought and Jay-Z, and they can just drop like boop, and people gonna jump all over Drake. Whether we like them or not, a lot of people like them, and it's quality music. And I might not agree with Drake, but I can't say it's not quality records. Like he's taking his time writing. The beats are well done, and he even get me on some of that shit like that. Kiki, are you riding? I fuck with that. You know what I'm saying?
Look at that, right?
I'm over here having a conniption fit as Link talks.
What she said, this brother.
Come on, man, don't act like. Listen, if you still dealing with females and you still talking, you ain't married or something, or even if you got young children, you that Kiki. Are you right? Yeah, you gonna be doing that. You might be doing it in your living room with your little daughter.
I might
you
have
gonna be
to
doing
listen
it somewhere.
to it. I might have to listen to it to stay abreast and up on what my daughter is doing and what's going in her head. But for my own personal listening pleasure, you can have that, bruh.
Hey, let me just show you how out of touch I am. Because I've been looking at my news feed for the past few days and they've been talking about this Kiki. And I'm like, what are they talking about?
yeah, you getting old.
That's all
it's a
that
mindset.
is.
It's definitely a mindset.
I had
it
no
ain't got nothing to do
clue.
with age.
Yo,
Yeah,
you better turn to your daughters, brother.
I'm gonna tell you what you do. I'm gonna tell you what you do, Nate. I got the cure right now for all anybody that feel like they out of touch or they up in age or whatever like that, because it really is a mindset. Here's what you do: download Instagram. That's step one. Step two: create an account. Step three:
Did that.
Friend up a bunch of questionable characters. You'll have everything you need. Everything you'll be on the cutting edge of what's going on.
That's the trendsetter starter kit.
Absolute trendsetter starter kit.
All right, guys, we're gonna roll into the main topic, man.
I have to say this: I have an advantage being an educator because them kids.
That's true.
You get abreast of all that shit.
That's true. They're gonna bring it into class.
You feel good. When I come to the classroom, they're like, "Listen, you a rapper?" So I play one of my shits. They be like, "Oh, that's all right." So if you get the kids saying shit all right, I think you'll be all right. Because they real picky as hell, but they also wide. The good thing about the kids, they also wide open. This may be it's a combination of both. You know what I'm saying? They're not really closed-minded to nothing. If they like it, they like it. They don't give a fuck what it is.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think we beat that one to death. We're gonna roll into the main topic. So the main topic is basically gender roles, and the Me Too movement, right? And so when we talk about gender roles, we traditionally talk about what's traditionally what the role of the man was traditionally the role of the woman. And how we really came up with this topic. We were talking about Terry Crews, and we were talking about him being molested in front of his wife, and how he just kind of became the male spokesperson for the Me Too movement. As opposed to maybe what a traditional male would have done, which would have been to,
knock him the fuck out.
Yeah. And especially being emasculated in front of your wife, man. That's that's really a crazy thing to let go down in front of your woman. But Link had an interesting point of view about that. What's your point of view, Link?
Well, I want to say, let me first say this because I just want to say what I'm thinking just out the blue. Terry Crews did a video where he talks about what happened on Gold Coast or something. I posted it on my Facebook, but he was saying that he was at a Senate hearing, and the Senate people was like, "Yo, there's so many words." They were like, "Well, Mr. Crews, you're a big, strong man. Why didn't you do anything?" There's a woman on the Senate, and he said, "Ma'am, I'm from Flint, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? I'm an ex-football player. That career is done. I'm making my career in Hollywood. I'm a big, strong, scary black man." And he said, "My wife has already had a talk with me and told me that, She okay. She support me making Hollywood my new career. But if ever a time comes where I feel like I need to do something to somebody or retaliate or attack or fight back, to just leave and walk away. And they were like, but you could have easily pushed him or something. And he said to the lady, said, ma'am, you know, in so many words, they're killing black men every day for less. Especially ones that look like me. Like, I'm big, strong, muscular. I got all of the stereotypes going. So his wife had already told him that, made him agree to, if something ever happened, that he's gonna walk away. He's gonna leave. He's not gonna act. He's not gonna react. Now, and then I'm gonna say this on top of that: the man who grabbed his genitalia is let us all take a look at who that person is. Now, I know some of y'all are like, man, I don't give a fuck, whatever, whoever touched me, no. That's cool. You could be like that because you haven't chosen to make Hollywood your career, and you're not aware of how Hollywood works, and you have not agreed to play the Hollywood game. If you have agreed to play the Hollywood game, you're going to make Hollywood your career, and you know how Hollywood works, you're going to think twice. I'm not saying that you won't do nothing. I'm not saying that you won't beat the dude up, but you're going to think about the man who grabbed him wasn't just any old person. It was he's a partner in the William Morris agency. So wow. William Morris is the only agency that anybody of any significance is getting booked through, because they bought up all the other smaller. They're the only game in town. And then for you to be a partner, there's, you know, an owner damn near. So the way entertainment world works is you don't work, you don't eat. And they can make anybody have a great career and constantly eating, because they control all the booking, and on the other, they control the venues too. So the venues and the booking is how you're doing shows. If you're going to do, or even getting film roles, all that is the function of an agent and a booking process that the talent has no control over and is easily subbed out. You know what I'm saying? Enter new star here, and you become a superstar. How you think Cardi B and all these people blow up? They don't blow up off their own natural talent. Like, they hooked into somebody who's hooked into the network. So, I mean, all this ran through my man's head, and he's standing there with his wife, and you know what I'm saying? He got stuck. He was in the sunken place, and he didn't, you know, he kept his mouth shut, and he kept it moving till years later, when it seemed like it was eating on his conscience, and everybody was pushing that push. So I don't really fault that man, really, because he could have. It's not like he got punked and the guy too weak to do something. He could have beat the hell out of the dude, but he definitely held back for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So now, would I do the same thing? I don't know.
So you know, when we talk about a lot of these women that are bringing up things from 10, 15, 20 years ago. I think another young lady just brought something up from 2001 against Charlemagne the God. That just came out very recently or whatever. So you hear all of these things about these women who didn't stand up, didn't file these charges or whatever because they felt a certain kind of way. You know, what do we feel about that? Because that's essentially what Terry Crews did. He waited a couple years. It wasn't 10, but it was a couple years before he actually spoke up.
Well, here's my point of view, and it sort of piggybacks off of what Link was saying. Terry Crews, for all intents and purposes, was sort of being vilified, even in the Senate hearings that you were talking about that he was in. He gets asked a question, well, you're a big, strong man. Why didn't you defend yourself? Why didn't you do this, that, and the third? It would be unthinkable to ask a woman
same question,
such a question, and it would be unthinkable to ask them that. So if getting back to our initial topic, if with regards to gender roles, we're talking about gender equality and things of that nature, why is it that Terry Crews is vilified? Oh man, if I was a man, because he's a dude, he was
yes.
in a powerless situation.
It might be because he's black.
Well, that too.
Because if he was a white man, it probably would have played out different.
Yes.
Mm,
I think it would have somewhat. Maybe not
not versus a woman. The retribution may have been different.
Not just
He may have been
black,
able to get
not
away
just
with
being
more.
black.
Right. He
I mean,
may have been able to get away with doing more from a retaliatory standpoint, but it would have still been the same thing.
I have to piggyback off what Hank said, because the reality is this. I think what we're looking at is the paradigm of the narrative we're looking at is the idea that the life of a black male consistently is not valued. The life of a man in general is not valued. Like, you can be like, think about how this is going to translate to our little boys. So now you tell a little boy if he gets touched or something, he can't tell nobody. Because daddy couldn't tell nobody, you know what I'm saying? You gay if you let somebody touch you, all this type of stuff. I mean, young boys have been molested. You know what I'm saying? So this is a very, very damaging message we're sending to these young brothers and sisters. No, young brothers, not sisters. The sisters are being promoted to talk about it, get it out. If somebody bothering you, you better tell somebody. But we're not promoting that to our young brothers, or our young little boys, our young brothers, teenagers, or our men. And
even more importantly, we're sort of kind of saying that the Me Too movement is gender specific.
Right.
It's not for men.
Yeah, well, but
supposed to be. According to the sister who started, it's not supposed to be gender specific. It's not supposed to be gender specific.
Let's dive into that a little bit, because could Terry Crews have done both? Could he have addressed the issue at that moment and pressed charges?
Well,
could he have spoke up at that time?
You got to go back to
He certainly could have. He certainly could have, and so could have any of the other women.
Yeah, see, here go the thing though, Nate. This is you got to look at it in a proper perspective. Nobody was talking at that time. When that man, one man grabbed Terry Crews' crotch, there was no Me Too movement.
You're right about that.
The culture in Hollywood is that all of these type of incidents go unreported. Nobody talks about them. Why? Because you want to keep your career. Because a person can get buried very quick, very easily in the Hollywood world when you get on the bad side of these powerful guys or these people that do create everything. As they basically are your career, and the quicker you realize that, and see, this is why a person can wield this kind of power for so long, and there's something called the casting couch and all that, because the minute I say something about this guy William Morris, I'm dead in the water career wise, and that's it. But it wasn't until the Me Too got to going and people started getting outed at such a rate that they couldn't keep the people afraid to talk up. And then as more and more people talk up, more and more people start getting in trouble. It was like a avalanche or a tidal wave or something like that. And so in that climate, he then came out. Because he was like, I'm not going to be the one to get fired, and I'm the only one speaking up. And that's how they all feel.
I agree with you, except for the fact that there was a first wave of a Me Too, quote unquote, movement. I think we're forgetting it. And that's when the white boys was talking about the priests messing with them. Don't forget, that was a big thing back in
That's not Hollywood. That's not Hollywood. We're talking about Hollywood.
But it was highly publicized, and it was from people who had positions of power. You know, don't forget, everybody who was in the Me Too movement, all of them is not for famous people. Some of us.
That system right there is infinitely larger and wider than Hollywood.
Definitely. So
yeah, but then that's. I hope we're not comparing.
Not comparing. What I'm saying is
the Catholic Church and the scandal with the priest going on with the Me Too movement, because there's not a Me Too.
What I'm saying is that those white men were not shamed for that. They were not shamed for talking about them being touched or them being molested. I definitely think there's a racial component to that. If a black man came out and started talking about that, and which I totally believe, we ain't talk about this, will be a good topic eventually, about sexual molestation in the black church. This shit happens too. And a lot of places, we don't talk about none of that shit. but that's another topic. So definitely don't forget the black man has been personified as this uber masculine being who is, he's aggressive and blah 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 blah. All this false patriarchal bullshit that kind of makes us like an animal instead of a person that actually can hurt and be damaged. So that's the bullshit needs to be demystified and brought out to the open. You know what I'm saying? It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy to me.
Well,
TJ Damon, anything? Are y'all still there?
Yeah, well, I personally I agree with Karanji. My whole thing about the Me Too movement is we definitely should be talking about these young boys and everything like that. And there's like this whole culture of silence, amongst black men or black boys who are being molested by, older black men and older black women. And it's almost like, you have all these sexual assaults or whatever. And it's like at 11, 12 or whatever, the boys are thinking like they're just a man because they're getting some from this older woman or whatever. But in actuality, it's still sexual assault. It's still the kid being raped, So I think that, the Me Too movement, for what it is, they don't really talk about that enough. And it's always more so focused on the women being the victims. But it's a lot of other victims out there that no one really is speaking up for. So I mean that's my take on the whole thing or whatever. Is like if you're gonna speak up about all these white women or whatever, or even black women who've been done wrong sexually and everything like that in the past or whatever, let's not forget about the other side of the spectrum also.
So is it your position to say that the Me Too movement is sexist?
Yes.
Against men?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely.
Wow. Even with him coming forward, he's being treated differently and unfairly.
His story hasn't really been co-opted by the Me Too movement. Exactly. In many cases, he's been vilified. He's been ridiculed. Man, I mean, we even do it to him. That's how we brought it up. No, man, I wouldn't let nobody grab my. You know what I'm saying?
Nate definitely did it. They say the nigga was a punk. That nigga punk.
Well, you know what? Let me clarify that, because here's how I feel about it. I feel first of all, I have two daughters, right? So I'm very, very sympathetic and empathetic to what women have to go through in this world to get ahead, all of that. And I do understand that men have issues along the same lines from women and from other men. But what I teach my children is that you don't have to be a victim. That's number one. And so I teach my daughters to fight, stand up for what you believe in. Your body belongs to you. Anybody invades your space, you have the right to defend yourself, And so I think that, to put more emphasis on your career versus your self-respect. And I mean, man, just to be emasculated in front of your wife, like, to me, that's, oh my God. Like,
the deeper question was that his wife helped him be emasculated. Keep in mind, he's married to a white woman, okay?
I don't think that him being married to a white woman has anything to do with it.
Okay, but I'm just saying, hear me out. She told him, just be a good boy. Don't fuck up the bread.
Yeah, but he's still a man though, and so he has to make that decision for himself. And all I'm saying is, I sympathize with him. I understand that that's, that has to be a very humiliating thing to have somebody grabbing your genitalia in a public place in front of your wife. So I do empathize with him, but at the same time, I believe that he made himself. Hold on, let me finish. I believe that he made himself a victim by not doing anything. I think that he would have reversed being a victim by just standing up, handling the situation, maybe violently, maybe not violently, but he should have immediately went and reported that dude. Go ahead, TJ.
I'm listening to everything y'all saying. I had a little comical thing I wanted to say, but we ain't real serious. So I'll come back to my comedy later.
Hey, man, this is Bros Uncut.
Do your thing, baby.
But my first thing is, so we got to look at it on both spectrums too, because I've been grabbed by women.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
You too. No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
My response is never like, chick, why you feeling on me? Why you touching? A lot of times it's sneaky, You be in the crowd, or you might be on the dance floor, or, I've been groped.
I got a Me Too story too.
Wow.
Okay, so how many more Me Too's is it from brothers that we ain't even talked about?
I ain't never been grabbed.
Now, let me give you the comical.
I do is to grab it.
Now let me give you the other side.
Go ahead, man.
To all the hashtag women that I might have bit your booty while we was walking up the stairs, I apologize.
Damn, what? What did you just say?
Yo.
Hey man, hey, stop the camera. Man, we about to edit that on out. What you say? Nah, man, you can't confess like that on camera like that.
Don't be coming out 20 years later talking about some TJ bit my booty on the steps. That ain't cool.
Oh my God, bro. I hope, when you blow up, man, this, you better come find this footage, man. Man.
Keep going, TJ.
But that's my spiel. That's all I got.
All right, what's your Me Too story, D?
Yeah, D said you got right too.
And check this out, because this has happened a number of times. All right,
number of times.
Yeah,
like damn, I'm jealous.
For those that don't know, I'm a photographer. So sometimes when you're shooting with someone, you show them a couple of shots that you have taken. So in doing that, say there's been several models who I've shot with, and showing them my camera so they can look through the viewfinder and see the photos or whatever. A few of them done brushed their breast up against my arms and everything like that, and they try to do it, make it in a slick way, but nah, that they trying to push up a little bit. And
it may add up to some extra money for them in future photo shoots.
Shoot or what? But, we don't do that around here. So,
right.
But yeah.
Don't try to act like you ain't never did the free shoot, Dame. Don't cut it out. Cut it out.
Hey, Damon,
if she right, hey look, he clicked the camera off.
Put it back. I probably made a couple of videos in that boy.
That's the only way he gonna keep that poker fight.
Hey, but you know what though? Even in us joking, man, y'all see how this work? If we were to say, yo, somebody brushed up against me, and like take Damon's case for example, he says there's a model he's working with. She in this business, she's looking for other photo shoots, other professional opportunities. She brush up against him. She makes an advance at him. And the first thing we like, oh, bro, come on now. You know you like it. You know if the roles were reversed.
Right. You're right.
Well
it would be sexual assault.
Hank, let me say this. Everybody know I'm a Muslim, right? We're real big on gender and gender roles.
Mm-hmm.
This topic is in my opinion, man, this is how I see it. Gender roles do matter. I say Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
Gender roles matter. And gender is very specific. it's one way with men and it's a whole nother way with women. It's not. It's what they say, separate but equal. It's not the same, but it equals out. But it is it does matter, and it is not, bruh. Everything we said, and I'm really just agreeing with you, to be honest with you. But I think that that's what it is, man. Because gender matters, and because see I don't go for, oh, I'm a woman in a man's body, or gender doesn't matter. You are what you think your gender is and all that. No, 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 no. This stuff is real, and it's a very big part of society, and it ain't no way around it. Like, men get treated one way, some happen to a man is looked at a certain way. Men are expected to respond a certain way, and that's just it.
That's part of, though, and that's part of the conundrum for me, though, because the Me Too movement is sitting to say, listen, we're going to break this cycle. And then when someone like, say, a Terry Crews comes along, now we want to revert back to what it was initially. Now we want to go back to, yeah, men and women are different. Whereas the whole purpose of the Me Too movement and movements like it are to say, no, this should not happen to anyone except for them.
But are they officially, are you talking about how it's being treated in the media or amongst people, or are you talking about what they're saying about it? Because if it's what they're saying about it, I don't think that they're saying that anything different with him than what they're saying with others.
I can only go on what the reaction is generally, what the consensus reaction to his story is. Even up to him having to go to a Senate hearing where a woman asked him, well, why you didn't do something? You see what I'm saying?
But okay, so since we're talking about, we're talking about gender roles, right, as it pertains to the Me Too movement. So to what Link was saying, I mean, I totally agree that there are gender roles. And so, as I think that men are the protector, and I think that our women look to us to protect them. And so, in a situation where you can't even protect your manhood, man, like, how does your woman look at you and you've been emasculated in front of her?
Well, in this particular case,
go ahead, Lee.
Well, in this particular case, I would just say to Nate, because I know you brought that up a couple of times, like that's a real strong issue with you. But in this particular case, man, like I say, she laid the foundation for, if something happened to you, man, you need to walk away. I'm going to say it like this. And I'm about to put Hank in here, and we finna really get funky right now. Check this out. When you decide to do a certain job or go into a certain industry, you committed to that, then that you got to play by the rules. For instance, Hank, you was in the police force. When something happened in the police force that you don't agree with, don't like, go against what you, but there's a certain way you got to go about handling that, and a certain way that you gonna even handle that, because you are in the police force. This is your career. You know the rules, and you're complying with them until you leave the police. Unless you're ready to leave Hollywood, then you have committed to the larger than normal paychecks, the larger than normal fame, and coming with that come a casting couch, pedophilia,
a bunch of things that you probably wouldn't normally sign up for.
Right. And once they start happening to you, you can either play ball or not, but you not gonna just react like a man that ain't in the game. You see what I'm saying?
And to Link's point, yeah, and everybody has this level at whatever profession they're at. They have this level of where, for lack of a better word, they got to dumb it down. Everybody has that in their job. Now, to answer your question even more specifically, Nate, how does she look at her husband? Every time that brother go out and secure the bag, she looks at him like, I am so proud of him
It ain't
for being
about the
brave
bag,
enough.
though, Hank. I gotta cut you off there, man.
Well,
it ain't about the bag, man, because that's a certain.
Not for you.
That is
Not for you.
No, but see, that is a level of security. So I understand that. But how can I look? I'm thinking like a woman, or trying to think like a woman.
Don't
How
do
can
that.
I look to you to protect me?
Then you're gonna get that wrong every time. But
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, you're right. But I'm surrounded by women. So, but how can I look to you to protect me if you can't protect yourself?
Think about the industry for which they are in, man. That protection is secure in the bag. More so, and it may even be looked at, and again, I'm speculating just like you, it may even be, you know what? My man was brave enough to think about us first.
Okay, so let's
and that bag that he getting.
So let's go a little further then. Let's go a little further. And I'm about to get like I did the other night. Let's go just a little bit further. So let's say that, what's this guy's name? Willie, what's his name? What's the guy that molested Terry Crews?
What's his name, Mike?
I don't know his name.
Somebody said it earlier.
All right, so let's
What's
just
the company that you said he worked for?
William Morris.
The William Morris Company. Okay.
So let's say this guy went further. Let's say he pulled his genitalia out and put it on Terry Crews' hand.
Well,
is he still
I'm sure
supposed
that
to?
would have got a reaction.
Well, are you sure? I'm not sure.
Well, but
because it's the same premise, though.
Once you start, you can start pushing.
But the thing is, Nate, though, what is it that you wanted him to do? Maybe him doing something, quote unquote, is that he doesn't react right then and there, and then later files some form of a complaint.
And you said he has a lawsuit in. Didn't you say that?
Not
you
to
said
my
he
knowledge. I think now he
I thought I heard some.
Okay.
Now I think he kept his mouth shut, man. That's what he did. When sometimes something can happen to you and you don't know what to do, so you end up doing nothing.
So let me take it go to another level.
At least for right then. You know what I'm saying?
So do you feel that just overall that the black man in general who is basically sells his soul for $1, like how much so basically it's saying for a certain amount of money, you will be a bitch. That's what it's basically saying. You're trying
to put a price on an extreme. That's going like too far left.
He is though.
I mean, that's every time we go to work and clock in.
That's what it is. No, but I mean,
to the extreme of saying that you being a bitch though. No, that's going too far. But there is a level of concession that you're going to have.
Talk about a level.
You know what? TJ made a good point. Every time we go to work and clock in, if that's what you do, you are complicit on some level, and them levels just go up and up and up. Now, if you in Hollywood, see, look, in Hollywood, bro, they have parties where getting in the party is somebody grabbing your dick. Like you get your dick grabbed, and then you go on in the party. If you come to the party and you have to try to grab your dick and you don't let them grab your dick, well, sir, you can't go in the party, and going in the party ultimately equates to you moving up some form of ladder or something. So it's not.
Maybe that's some Illuminati shit. But the more I keep hearing about it, I'm believing the shit is real.
So then that's okay.
It's
right?
real. It's super real.
So Link. So
well, see, everybody is in Hollywood. It's like a mafia, a gay mafia, if you will, but whatever. Everybody know what's up. So like you getting in where you fit in.
Let me ask you the question. Let me ask you a question, Nate. In response to the question you asked, as far as and the assertion that Karanji was making about selling your soul for $1. Let me ask y'all this. Let me give you this hypothetical. Your whole life, all you dreamed about was being, some type of artist. Your whole life. That's all you ever dreamed about. You get to the apex of where you can achieve that dream. Only caveat, you got to do something strange that goes against your potential moral compass.
Hey, you heard about
You
that
gotta
shit,
do
right?
something strange for a little piece of change.
Right. So now keep in mind, this is your dream. This is all you've ever wanted to do in your life. And now you here at the
Hank,
pinnacle where you can.
Hank, make it more real. It ain't just your dream. This is how you eat. This is your bread and butter.
Yeah,
And
but
you
I'm putting
achieved a certain level of now you.
yeah, but I only say it this way because I want to get to the point of the more emotional side. This is something that you really wanted to do in your life, like all you've ever wanted to do.
I can answer this question
ahead,
very easily. So
okay.
I'm gonna equate it to not necessarily. We're gonna step away from actually being molested in front of your wife, but I'm just gonna equate it to the racial issues. So, man, I've been wanting to be. I wanted to be a engineer since I was 12 or 13 years old. Hold on, let me make the point.
Don't change the narrative though. That's all I'm asking.
No.
We're literally talking about a dig at your manhood.
Watch where I go. So, working at a major utility in the Detroit area, right? I was hit with all kinds of disrespectful talk. I had people talking down to me. I had people trying to make me look like I was illiterate, like I wasn't smart enough to be there. And every single time I stepped up and I stood up because I said, when I go home, I got to look at my wife and I got to look at my daughters who look at me like Superman. And I got to be able to look at them and look in the mirror and say that I am. You know, I'm going out here. I'm not going to kiss no ass. I'm not going to suck no toes. And I'm definitely not going to let you molest me just for $1. Because guess what? I'll get another job. I'll find another income. I'll make it happen. But what I won't do is I will not sell my soul out. I will not jeopardize my man. My manhood is very important to me.
And it's very important to all of us.
Anybody take that, especially in front of my wife.
Not the same narrative that I put forth. That's not the same narrative. So. No. One, we're talking about something.
Let me tell you why it's the same. Because I had a brother come up to me after he saw how I talked to one of them white dudes. He came up to me and he said, man, I admire you. I could never do that. I said, why not? He said, man, I got kids, man. I need this job. I could never do what you did. I said, brother, I got the same thing you got, but somebody got to do it.
Let me tell you where the difference is. The major motivation in your narrative is your wife and your kids. And that's fair. You readily said, hey, I can go and get another job. That's not the narrative I put forth, though. The narrative I put forth is we're talking about that one thing in life, that one dream job, occupation, whatever it is that you dreamed about as a kid. That's why I said it the way I said it, Link. We're talking about that one thing that in your entire life, this is all you ever wanted to do. Because that's the system or the situation that, say, a Terry Crews is in. And to a large degree, a lot of other people that enter into Hollywood or into sports or whatever. And take the kids out of it. Let's say you didn't have a wife and kids. And this was the same scenario. Now, that's not your main motivation for doing it. That's why the narrative that you put forth and the one that I put forth are different. Because your motivation for doing what you did is different. I'm talking about strictly self-indulgent desire.
The guy's name is Adam Vanit.
Right. Okay. I'm just showing y'all pictures of him. He's not a small dude. He's not he looks like, he close to Ted Cruz size and whatever.
I'm pretty sure in no form or fashion was Terry Crews like physically intimidated or anything of that nature. But my point is, this is something that you are like, yo, this is all I want. This is all I ever wanted to do in my life. And here's the next hurdle for me to get over. And I'm not saying, even for myself, I'm not saying that I would do it. All I'm saying is it poses a hell of a complex situation.
That's the same thing that women say though, because don't forget, women have the same issues. So I want to get this role in this movie. And so, Harvey Weinstein was like, okay, come on up and blow me off. You know what I'm saying? You got it. And
correct.
A lot of them did. So now they reporting him and he fucked the game. He probably get some prison time for this shit.
He should.
I think the issue that you bring up, Hank, is that these men who do it to another man, or if a woman do it to a man, it's not gonna be held to the same standard of no, you fucked up, you have to be held accountable for your fuckery, blah blah blah. That's the issue.
Up, though. What law was broken?
By the guy touched
was broken. Like, how is he supposed to get jail time?
Criminal
Harvey Weinstein?
Third degree.
Which one? Weinstein?
Yeah.
However, if you look at
sexual assault.
If you look at my screen, you'll see that apparently no charges will be filed. I think William Morris, it's WME William Morris Endeavors, they decided to punish him themselves.
Oh no! This guy, I wasn't saying he is subject to get jail time. I was talking about Harvey Weinstein is subject to get jail time.
They say they going through the whole grand jury thing right now. I heard. Yeah. But so that's the difference. I mean, and to harken back into what Makari said, the idea that there's a price to pay. I mean, I think Cat Williams talked about that when he was talking about your boy. What's his name? Other comedian?
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. He alluded to that. The idea, I ain't do that shit. Nigga. You did that shit. That's what they had their own little beef. And if you notice, Kevin Hart never replied to that. You know what I'm saying? But Kevin Hart is uber famous. So I do kind of believe that in that culture, like Kyrie said, there's certain things that people do to get to that extra step. Just to, I mean, people try to take that whole thing with Tupac and Quincy Jones, all that shit that happened. Oh, that's some bullshit. But now I'm trying to believe, based on what Kyrie said, and all these that shit might be real. That shit is real, man. That fucking underground fucking world, sick ass world in Hollywood is real as fuck. And
so here's my thing.
I don't think Nate would have did it. I don't think if Nate had children, didn't have children, if it was his dream job, his passion, whatever it was, I don't think he would let no motherfucking man touch his Johnson. Period. Point blank. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely correct. I'm not letting that happen because I gotta live with myself.
I dig it, and I don't think that Terry Crews just sat there and just let the brother just feel all up on him. He grabbed for him, as far as I understand the story. He grabbed for him. Terry Crews jumped back. Dude act like he was just playing, bleep, whatever.
Right, exactly. Come on now.
And then he sort of kind of just trucked it up like this motherfucker here. And that was that.
He might have grabbed his wife and walked off, but I mean, y'all acting like he...
Right, like you just sat there and let the man just... told him to bend over and cough.
Maybe not.
It's a standard, man. It's a standard, bro.
Maybe not. Maybe he did it exactly. He was appalled. He jumped back and all of that. But it's got to be some consequences. Well, not only did you emasculate me, but you emasculated me in front of my wife. Hell, that's just the person that looks to me to protect.
But this is the same wife that made you agree that you would never react.
That's why,
and that you would walk away and not do nothing.
That's
and
fair.
She probably was proud of
that's
him.
Why
you know what I'm saying?
Bitch, because you actually saying, okay, I'll be a bitch. My wife said I should be a bitch, so I'm gonna be a bitch. You can touch me. The white boy laughing like, yes, you is my black buck bitch. Ha ha ha.
I think that you.
I think you taking that to a hell of an extreme.
Yeah, you oversimplifying.
I don't think he is.
He's taking that to a hell of an extreme.
No, he ain't. Because he touched somebody else too. He touched somebody else, motherfucking Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, you a bitch.
Oh, that ain't the first. That's not the first time.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure it's not.
So he bitching.
He did that in public. I'm sure it wasn't the first time.
Right.
Hey guys, I think that this is a topic that we are going to touch on future podcasts. But we need to wrap this one up. We've been on for about an hour and a half now. This has been great discussion. I want to close us out with a motivational moment. We're gonna end our podcast with on a lighter note.
My health thing. Don't forget.
Say that again.
Let me close out on a little health joint. No, I'm going to talk about some health shit before. You know what I'm saying? You can go first. I can go first. But definitely
go ahead.
Okay, fam. As the health part, the health nut in the group, I'm gonna always promote black health for men and for women and for children, for everybody. But definitely for our brothers first. Try to get in, 30 minutes of exercise a day, people. I don't care if it's walking down the street. I don't care if it's playing ball. And try to get your water in and just, limit the amount of bullshit you eat. It's not about saying you can't eat it no more, but limit the portions of it, and start beginning to think in a positive way. You can do this. Be consistent with it. Consistency. That's my health clues for the day. You know what I'm saying?
All right. That was the health word from Karanji Kaduma. And so we're going to, any last words? D, you got any last words?
No, I'm good. It's good chopping up with you guys.
Willie So, any last words?
Nothing in particular today. Just look forward to me having some real good, I don't know how good it's going to be, but some relationship advice for y'all in the near future.
All right.
I don't know how good it's going to be.
Maybe you should do a different department.
Link, what you got, man, to close us out?
Man, I just want to say it's been an honor, man, and a pleasure to be up here with my bros, man. And I look forward to doing more shows.
Amen.
All right. Karanji, what you got?
He already went. This motherfucker.
Right, TJ, what you got? Last words.
Oh man, peace up. A-Town down. We out.
All right. So I'm gonna take the last minute or so. We're gonna close it out on a motivational note. So I just want everybody to understand the power that we hold within us. We often go through different situations, life circumstances, environments. Some of them are within our control. Some of them are not within our control, but everybody should understand that you have the power within you to overcome whatever situation that comes your way. One of my favorite childhood shows was the A-Team. The A-Team would get in situations that they really couldn't depend on anybody else but themselves. They'd be locked in caves and jail cells and precarious situations where by all extents of the imagination, they had no way out. But what they did was they relied on what they had within them, their training, their pure will, and they created a solution and they created a way to fight their way out of their situation. So that's the note I want to leave you with, is that whatever you might be going through, just understand that you have the power within you to change your circumstances. This has been Bros Uncut. I am Nate. I am King. We out.
94 Bros out.
And knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle.
See what I did there?
Peace and love, man. We out this boy.
All right, go ahead and end it, man.
All right.